Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon to you, and welcome to yet another gripping edition of Xandermonium, the talk show that gets you talking. I'm your host, Xander Gibb, and on today's show, we're talking about adoption and fostering and its effects and implications. Joining us today is my guest, author, and fellow tweeter, Linda Gallagher. All this for your education and entertainment. More to come in a mere moment. It's been a bit of a crazy week this week with everything that's been going on. People setting off bombs to get their message across. I never know what message you can actually get across with a bomb, because it always makes me want to stop listening. More about that later on in the show. If you want to interact with us, you can do that in the chat room at the bottom of the page, or by phone, 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Or on Twitter. My Twitter handle, if you like, is at Xandergibb, Xandergibb. That's Xandergibb. Tweet me questions if you're too shy to ask, and I will put your point across for you. Now, you can also tweet my guest, Linda, and her Twitter handle is at Moolips. I'll spell it for you. That's at capital M OOOOLIPS. So that's capital M, 3 O's, and LIPS. That's at Moolips. You can call us or tweet us with any questions, as long as they're not anything to do with my age or my waist size. And I'm sure Linda would be saying exactly the same thing. So, also, just to let you know, the last segment of our show, my Boston correspondent for this show, regular guest co-host Will Noonan, will be calling in to talk a little bit about the Boston Marathon bomb. So stick around for that. The last 10 minutes of the show, as promised, is going to be dedicated to something we talked about last week. We're going to do this every week. A section called What's Your Beef? Call in and tell us what you're not happy about, who's pissing you off. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's something that has happened in the country or in the government, or just something in general that bothers you. You can call us about that on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Just taking a quick look at the chat room before we carry on, because I know they like to be included in the show. Hey, Brody. Hey, Kathy. Welcome. Hey, guest this, guest that. Can I suggest to all the guests listening, sign up for an account? You can do that very easily with your Facebook page or your Twitter page, and you can click like. You can follow my page on Blog Talk, and you will get information as to what shows are coming up, and just general BS about what I'm trying to do. Hey, Joe. Joe's just joined us. We're going to give Joe a tardy slip for being 3 minutes late. Not really. I'm just joking. So, other announcements. Don't forget to check out the Jake Pantlin Show, Saturdays, 1 p.m. PST, with Jake, Jen, and Eli. Now, that was a very interesting show on Saturday. They talked about transphobia and how it wasn't transphobia to have concerns about anyone with a penis around young girls. That was something that we talked about at length on my show last week. And basically, it was a very interesting show, and I think that it really is food for thought. Rosa made a very interesting point today on Twitter about making sure that all bathrooms are accessible for everybody, and I kind of agree, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this is responded to, as in how they will make bathrooms accessible for everybody. Joe said she heard the comment about my age, and she said she gets it now and she will never ask again. I'm 27, if anybody really wants to know, or I was once. Kathy says, just let everyone pee already. Yeah, Kathy, we're not peeophobes here. You can pee where you want as long as it's not on my leg. So don't forget to check out Time Out Seat with Brandy and Jenny. For those of you who don't know, they're sisters, and they're also Jake's sister, and they are Jake's sisters even, and they are the daughters of Roseanne Barr. Their show is called Time Out Seat. You should check their Twitter page for details. That's at Time Out Seat, TimeOutSeat. And they're on another hiatus for another week, I think, but check with Jenny Pentland or Brandy. She will, Mother Blogger, she will be able to tell you about when their show is going to be starting again. It looks like my guest is on hold, so I will speed through the rest of the announcements so we can get on to the meat of the show, as it were. Don't forget to check Robin Trav on the Robin Trav Show every Monday and Tuesday, 8 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. PST on grindhouseradio.com. That's grindhouseradio.com. I've not been able to join them for a couple of weeks because of work commitments, etc., but hopefully I will see you all there on Monday night. So make sure you also go see my dear friend Kobe Cole. He's been a guest several times on this show. You can find him on Facebook and Twitter. His next concert is May 1st at 9 p.m. And the venue is called Don't Tell Mama. That's Don't Tell Mama at 343 West 46th Street, NYC. Tickets are $15 with a 2-drink minimum. That's more than worth it to hear Kobe's vocal prowess. And you can reserve tickets to see Kobe on 212-757-0788. That's 212-757-0788. Joe says, come on, Xander. Your show will be half over before you plug everybody else. Hey, I want this show to be a platform for other people, too. Kathy wants to be plugged for being the queen of the cult of Jake. I thought that was actually Marv or myself, but I guess that is really not the case. So according to the American Academy of Child Adolescent Psychiatry, more than 120,000 children are adopted in the U.S. every year. Around 50,000 of these children are adopted from foster care, either by their foster parents or by families who adopted them out of their foster homes. Now, the gender is about half and half, and adopted children are less likely to be engaged in school than non-adopted children. However, well over half of the adoptees report that they enjoy school. About 15% of adoptive parents feel their adoptive experience and raising a child was harder than they thought it would be. And only 3% said that they would definitely not have made the same choice if given a chance. Now, adopted children are more likely than biological children to have disorders like ADHD and depression, even if those children are under 2 years of age, which I think is startling, really. Some people who are adopted report a happy life, and others don't. Some wish to meet their birth parents, and some don't. And lots will never, ever find out who their biological parents were, or have any idea of where they came from or what their lineage is. Now, statistics aside, they do not fully appreciate the experience of all individuals. They only generalize and do not speak to everyone. So my guest today is author Linda Gallagher, who describes herself as follows. She could have been writing this about me too, actually. A very chubby, sometimes pretty, funny, sad, adopted girl who was born in New York, Then her mother dumped her. The Mersons of Brooklyn, New York, bought her off the racks at the orphanage and brought her home. She is always aware of her fat and laughs instead of it. Her passion in life is to share the laughter of others and for them to join in hers. Somewhere lost in translation is real life and her vision. So let's welcome to the show my very special guest today, the one, the only, Linda. Hello, Linda, are you there?
Hello?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Welcome to the show. Sorry about that. That was technical issues. I switched my mic off and your mic on.
That's okay. Actually, I was listening to you and I heard you say that your guest was on hold and it wasn't me, so I'm going, holy crap.
It wasn't. Oh,
No,
I thought it was you. Maybe it was. That's weird. I wonder who that was calling. Well, do feel free to call back, whoever it was. We will be taking calls today. Linda will be answering your questions. 347-884-9061. I really don't know who that was, but maybe it was the president calling for advice.
Maybe. Maybe. Well, not going to go there right now.
I was just adding some humor to the situation. So let's start right at the beginning, Linda. You're a Brooklyn girl, Brooklyn-born girl, and you were transported to North Carolina. That's right, isn't it?
Well, actually, I was born in Goshen, New York, and then I was adopted by a family in Brooklyn. So I was raised in Brooklyn. Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you've got children of your own.
I do. I have one daughter. She's 35. I have one daughter, so I made my own little family, my own little blood family.
Absolutely. So, would you say your childhood was happy on reflection?
Well, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, really. I don't want to. I know that a lot of I feel judged a bit because I feel that the opinion of those that are not adopted and have not walked in the shoes would think that, that I should just be lucky. And I am very grateful and lucky that I was adopted because who knows what would have happened otherwise. But and also I'm from the old days. I mean, I'm just going to be 60 now, and I basically am of the mind that the laws are really what will destroy a person in adoption. Not necessarily the adoption can be a wonderful thing,
Right.
It's the law. It's the time that I could have spent with the woman that adopted me, my mother, and loved her for who she was instead of hating her for who she wasn't.
Right. Absolutely, and I think there always seems to be two schools of thought, and you're absolutely right. You can't really kind of imagine what this is like unless you've actually experienced it. But there's two schools of thought with all of this. I think where people either wait till the child is older and then tell them that they're adopted, or they never tell them in order to kind of protect them. But I'm never sure which is right. Really, because...
Well, I don't understand. I don't believe that anybody that would... I don't believe that the protection is for the child. I believe that the protection would be for the parents. The one that... I don't know. It's just... I just know that if I were... I mean, I'm going to be 60 years old this May. A very young 60, might I add, Xander. But
absolutely, I've seen your pictures.
And here I am looking for my parents. Now, I mean,
absolutely. Joe just made a very interesting point in chat. She said she kind of said it's a difference between whether it's an open adoption or not. I think I don't know enough about it, but I think that's. Is it normally the birth parent that decides whether it's an open adoption, or do the powers that be decide that, or?
No, back in the day when I was born, the adoption was for the mother. The mother had the rights, not the child.
Right.
So everything
Right.
was sealed, closed. There's no way that you can get back into it.
No.
I have tried, actually. I did go to my mother. You see, the thing was that I was afraid, really, to hurt my mother's feelings, even my adopted mother's
Right.
feelings. And though, I wanted some answers back, when I did finally found out when I was a grown woman. And it wasn't very good, the conversation. She basically said to me that, what do you want from me if your own mother didn't want you? So I imagine that was in her defense because she was hurt that I even asked her. But after I got that response, I figured, okay, back off. We won't mention that again. And then,
right. So you were an adult when you found out you were adopted. So did you ever have your suspicions or?
Well, I believe that as I was growing up, all the kids in the neighborhood must have known, all my friends must have known, because my mother just showed up one day with a baby carriage. I mean, the neighbors know that she wasn't pregnant. She didn't disappear or go into hiding for 9 months. So everybody must have known but me. But, I mean, I knew deep down I must have known because I was in, they at least should somehow size order people. I mean, my adopted family was all little petite people, and here's, Big Bertha. So I didn't fit in that way, and it was always, I was pretty, though, and they were ugly, so I had that over them. And I don't mean that in any, not nice way. Facially, they were not as nice-looking as I was to the face. So my comment would always be, oh, she's so pretty, only if, and then the silence was, only if her body fit her face. So was she pretty or was she not, I guess. I don't know.
Right. So tell us a bit about how you actually eventually found out that you were adopted. Did it come out of a conversation with your mom, or did someone else tell you, or how did it happen?
I gave birth to my daughter, and I knew that something wasn't right. I really knew that something wasn't right. And I went into my parents had gone. I went over to their house, and I was married, happily married at the time. And I went over to their house while they were away up in Canada on holiday. And I went into the to their private papers, and I found a birth certificate that said they had always told me that I was born in Brooklyn, but the birth certificate had their names, the adoptive people's names, the mother and father, and but it had Goshen Hospital so that's Goshen, New York, a little outside of New York, So I said Goshen Hospital, and then I got the baby blues, and then it was actually from my giving birth to my daughter that I realized that something was really, really wrong, even though I had inclinations all along, but that started it kind of,
I can't imagine how that must feel because there you are, kind of, a point in your life that should be, one of the most joyous things, bringing a child into the world, and then this kind of shitstorm, comes around, for want of a better word, because you saw your birth certificate and saw information that was erroneous to what you actually thought. Yeah.
So it was like a love-hate relationship with everybody and everything from that point on, really. I loved.
And how old were you at that point, Linda?
24.
24.
And then I let it go because, I think that what happened was that my mother kind of, she knew she never had it right with me. I mean, because I'm not clear. What I heard from my aunt was that I was before I was adopted, I was in an orphanage for a while. So because the first birth pictures of me were not baby pictures, but like my head was up, I was on my belly, I could roll over. So however, even though I was fat, I guess maybe that gave me an extra month, something good, but whatever. At least it came from there first.
So as you just mentioned about fat and stuff, like myself, you're open about the fact that you've struggled with your weight and food and addiction issues. I know that my food addiction has been a love substitute, and obviously I didn't kind of come to that assumption overnight. That was a lot of counseling and analysis and whatever else you want to call it. But would you say that you think these things have been kind of that for you?
100% food. 100% food from the day I know is all I can say. And it was
Right.
it wasn't like something that was just tasted good. It was something that I needed to stuff, and
Right.
I don't mean to be crass and gross about it, because
No.
I know people that don't have food issues don't even understand that, but it was just
No.
the need to just stuff myself, to feel full, to feel something, I guess, or to I don't know, stuff the feelings, whatever they say. I have also been in therapy quite a lot through the years, and the one thing I will say, though, is that the day that I found whiskey was the day when my world turned color, and I'll tell you why. Because after the eating, you would eat and eat and eat, and then you would just be full, but you still wouldn't have the satisfaction of just eating whatever. So what the whiskey did for me was it made my stomach numb, and it made me be able to eat more again. So it was like this hallelujah triple I was on, and I guess you could call that purging or whatever in a different light. But for me, that was how I did it. That was my secret. Well, it wasn't a secret.
I think the thing with whiskey is you can kind of only do it for so long. And when I had a bit of a break a few years ago, after I like lots of things that happened at once, like my job had ended, my car was stolen, and then my father died, and even one of those things is enough to put anybody over the edge. But and then to top it off, I had a long-term relationship end, and I had a kind of long relationship with whiskey for about 3 months and wasn't sober for a day, like during that period. But I kind of just got to a point where I thought I can't do this anymore, because it only numbs you for a while, and then you've got to top that kind of numbness up. It's not a lasting solution, is it?
For me, it was for a good 40 years. Yeah, I worked hard every day and went out and socialized, and it was my grandson that asked me to stop, because he had went to school, and I guess at 7 years old, he had heard in school, because he never would have heard this from me, that whiskey or alcohol wasn't good for you. So asked me to stop, and I said, okay, I will. I'll do that for you. And then I did stop it, and then I just drank, wine. I mean, I did pick up another crutch, but not as alcohol content, if you want to call it that, whatever. But
I think sometimes with crutches you do kind of swap one for another, because they work for a while, and then you kind of try something else. I know that it's kind of in the past it's kind of been a bit like that for me. Someone in the chat room, Joe, has a question for you, Linda. She says, do you feel it would have been different for you if you'd known all along who your birth parents were?
I would have, yes. I won't even go as far as to say if I had known who they were, but if I had known that if the elephant was out of the room every moment of my life growing up, that I wasn't who they said I was, then that would have been tremendous, And now as I get older, of course, I mean, heritage, and I have no idea of my heritage. I have no idea. People say go on Ancestry.com, go on this one, go on that.
Well, but you need information, absolutely.
Begin, right. I mean, you have to have.
Let's take some. Sorry, I interrupted you. We got some callers.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to take some? Shall we take some calls? We've got a couple of callers in the wait line.
Sure.
All right, let's take this call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello? Hello, you're live on the Xandermonium. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Maybe that's my mother.
Maybe it is. So, last chance, caller. Did you want to... Hello?
Me or the caller?
The caller. Are you going to speak, or shall we move on to the next caller? Okay, let's leave you there. All right, let's see who our next caller is.
I think we need the Long Island medium. I think we needed the Long Island medium for that one.
Hello, caller. You're live on... Wait a second. Hello, caller. You're live on Xandermonium. What's your name and where are you calling from? Another call is dropped. Okay, let's take the next call. Everybody's obviously scared to speak. Hello? Caller. You're live on Xandermonium. Hey, Will, how you doing?
Oh, man, good. I thought those were me before, all those calls that weren't there. I was like, what's wrong?
Oh, no. You've called early, dude. Everybody, this is Will, our Boston correspondent, who's going to be calling for the last segment of the show.
What time should I call back in? I'm sorry to interrupt.
6:10 would be good. No, it's cool. It's the wonders of live radio. Did I say 5:10 by mistake?
Yes.
I'm sorry. That's my fault then. I will berate myself and punish myself severely after the show.
No
but
problem,
we'd love
man.
for you to call back at. Brilliant. Thanks, Will. Speak to you later.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Thanks. Sorry about that, Linda.
That's okay.
So where were we? Let me just go back to the chat, just see how people are doing in there. Yeah, everybody's saying they hate it when people do this. Just hang up, and I just wonder why people would call and then not speak. But if you want to call and ask any questions, or speak to either one of us, or ask me out on a date, it's the number to call is as follows. It's 347-884-9061. Oh, it looks like someone's calling back now, Linda. Let's see who that is.
Okay.
Hello. You're live on Xandermonium. Hello?
Hi, Xander. It's Joey.
Hi, Joey. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you all?
I'm great, thank you. Linda, do you know Joey from Twitter?
Yes. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Linda. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Hope I'm not too late. I'm sorry.
No, you're not too late at all. Just to explain to people who are listening, Joey's called us because Joey too was adopted, and he's gonna kind of feed into tell us a little bit about his experiences with adoption too. So let's just first of all ask Joey a little bit about what his experience was, because I think didn't you always know you were adopted?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was adopted into an entirely white family, and I'm myself biracial, so it's kind of obvious,
Right. And was that something that because I know people are very people are not kind of cautious, are they, when they make comments, about the fact that this is a white couple with a biracial child? I guess that people were not not shy to say, hey, how come this is your son and your son is biracial and you're white?
Yeah, it was pretty sad. My parents went to a Catholic church, and a lot of people in the church would come up to them and ask them if they're the couple that adopted a black baby, which is pretty sad. You'd think people in church would be more open-minded and think, yeah, exactly. But, in grade school, people, my classmates came up to me and said the same thing, like, why are your parents white and you're black? When I was younger, I didn't think a whole lot of it, but there were times it did get to me, and then, it was sad that they were looking at skin tone and all that. But
right. And so we're seeing this from both sides, because Linda, I don't know how much of the show you heard, Joey, but Linda didn't know she was adopted until she was an adult, and you did know, but these are kind of like two sides to the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still there, Linda, with us?
I am. I'm listening.
So Linda, do you think that even just kind of hearing some of Joey's experiences, do you still think you would have preferred to know, or would you have preferred to never know?
Definitely no. 100% no. 100% to no.
Right.
It would have changed my relationships with everybody, and it just would have changed every relationship.
Right.
It's one thing to not come into this world, I wouldn't say chosen, but, for lack of a better term, it's not really chosen, but I mean, you are born into a world where you have loss, you're not even aware of the loss, other than you know that you have lost something, because
right.
I would imagine that my mother held me for those first couple of days, or whatever, until whatever happened after that, which I don't know. But, I mean, so you're already, that is your first, the first formative months of your life is, all just screwed up. I mean,
Right.
So loss, I think, you're just born into a world of loss from the get-go. And, it's, but I had sorry.
Go on. Sorry. Far away.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I even to this day, I feel guilty to say how I feel, because I know that everybody judges and everybody is thinking, well, you had a good childhood and you went to Canada and you've been to Disney
right.
World and, so shut up. And you know what? No, I won't, because this is how I feel, and I was lied
right.
to. And I feel that anybody has the right to take away a person's heritage, period.
No.
That is one thing that we are supposed to be born with, and no.
Absolutely.
However, I mean, even the freaking
I've heard people say. I've heard people say, people who adopted, people who are adopted, they've said things like, the parents have said, it's even more special because we chose you. How do you both feel about that? Let's start with you, Joey.
I would definitely agree. That was a conversation my parents and I had actually had many times, as well as my grandparents, that I would say, your birth parents, they couldn't have you if you were born or if you were given to a family that did want you. You should feel very special and very loved, and I always did.
Right.
That's nice for you, Joey. See, I never did feel that way. Well, you knew, though, didn't you, Joey?
Yeah, I always knew. My parents have always
been open
about
it. The difference is with my story is having to live a lie every single day of your life, to sit at a table with people that are not your relatives, that say they are your relatives. If I had known the truth from the beginning, then there wouldn't have been. Have you ever been angry with somebody, a friend or whatever, because they didn't tell you the truth about something and you hold it inside and but you can't say anything? I mean, you just can't say anything. Well, imagine that boiling pot every single day. Every single
right.
day, with every interaction, with every family member, constantly. And, it's just overwhelming.
So, I've kind of, you've kind of shared with us some of your struggles, and Joey has kind of told me some things privately. Do you both feel that the being adopted has contributed to the kinds of struggles that you have had or are having?
I say. Oh, go ahead, Linda. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can go.
I was going to say, definitely, depression is something I struggle with to this day, and a big part of that led into the whole fact that I was adopted. No, I was adopted into a very loving family. I love them to death. It's just, I always have that nagging feeling like, why wasn't I good enough for my birth family? What was wrong with me? So that definitely led into a lot of depression in my life, up until the time I actually had met my birth parents, excuse me.
Wow.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Linda?
Well, I feel that basically, without being a sourpuss or a complainer, I do feel that all of my relationships have suffered in my life, because if you can recognize or remember, like in a little sibling group, like when you're a child and when you're just born, how your mother is everything to you and she's the only thing to you, and it
right.
seems that every relationship that I've gone into, like there's been this jealousy thing where I usually fall in love with my best girlfriends, because that was my MO, because emotional love, because I guess I didn't get that. So, if this best friend that I loved spoke to somebody else or had another friend, it would almost be like it was a sibling rivalry thing where I didn't want anybody to touch my mommy, anybody to be near my mommy. And it basically ruined every relationship in my life, actually, except for the one with my husband, who was a wonderful man. It's just that, it just was that, I just, well.
So,
I don't want.
So you're kind of a different end of the spectrum than Joey, and I mean that in a respectful way. You're old, you're older than Joey. Do you feel that has this ever gone away for you, or has it become easier to equate, or do you feel like as you've got older, do you kind of deal with it better?
No, I feel as I get older, it's harder to deal with because I feel that now that I'm almost going to be 60, my biological mother would be in her 80s. And I do know that I got a non-identifying information on the on my mother, and I know that she was 26 when she had me, and I know that I had siblings that were before me. So I know I have brothers and sisters out there. I know that I'm on a time limit to find them before they die, or if they're not dead.
Right.
I assume my mother is dead. I have no name to go with, no nothing. And if only I had been told the truth from the beginning, it wouldn't have brought any of this heartache that it's brought to me basically my whole life, where and what I have chosen to do is love the few that I love and self-destruct, basically.
So what about you, Julia? Do you have any knowledge of your birth parents? Do you have any desire to meet them, or have you met them, or will you meet them in the future?
Yeah, actually, I've met both my birth mom and my birth father.
Right.
I met them both
around
the same time. It was about 2008, 2009. I kind of lose track of time, but my birth mom, the experience with her was very wonderful. She welcomed me with open arms, and her sons and her husband at the time. They divorced since then. My birth father was not a great experience. It's a very long, complicated story, but Cliff Notes version, his wife and son had it in their minds that I was going to come into their family and break them up and try to get my birth parents back together and all this.
Wow.
Yeah, to this day, it doesn't make much sense why they felt that way, but that's to this day what they feel. And so I'm not in contact with any of them.
What's interesting for me is even when you talk about a birth father, for some reason he is totally off the hook in my my storyline and my thoughts and perception of things. My biological father is not even something I think of. I mean, other than the name, it's my mother. It's not the father at all. I mean, for some reason, it's the mother for me, not the father. I've never had men issues. I just never thought much about it.
So, Linda, let me ask you. Sorry, do you think the secrecy was to protect you from something? Did your adoptive mother never kind of tell you anything about what she knew about your birth mother, or?
No, I was never told a thing. Nothing, ever, by anybody, ever, never. I have cousins, which I grew up with. I have aunts and uncles. All of them, I was never told anything. I've had best friends that I grew up with. I've best friends' parents. Nobody knew anything other than Dorothy, my mother, came back with another, with a baby.
Right.
I have a brother that's adopted also that I grew up with.
Right. Because you have an adopted sibling too, don't you, Joey?
Yes, I do. My older sister.
Right. And did you find that it's kind of enriched your life meeting your birth parents? Because I've heard people say before that they've met their birth parents that they wish they'd never done it. They wish they'd never known that they were adopted. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm absolutely glad that I've met both of them, even though one was better than the other. But overall, I'm very happy I met them. And what was the rest of your question? I'm sorry. Was that a brain fart?
I was basically saying, do you feel that it enriched your life meeting your birth family?
Absolutely do. Because, I got a sense of where I come from, my ethnicity, and, basically my heritage. So definitely it's enriched my life.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's a bit of a case of kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because one of my friends met their birth parents that was adopted, and they hated them. They were like, how could I have ever come from this? So I think that everyone's personal experience is really kind of different, and I think that and in Linda's case, as Linda probably unfortunately won't meet her birth parents. It's kind of there's still the same kind of burden. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But what I wanted to say was that it's very difficult to choose a parade to go to in New York when you don't know if it should be the Italian one or the Irish one, or what do you do? Go to every one.
Go to the Gay Pride Parade. They're very accepting of everybody, Linda.
I don't fit the shorts. I don't look good. I don't do wigs well. No, I buzz. Oh, gosh. But something that I wanted to say before that. What were we talking about right before this? There was something that you had mentioned to Joey. It was about heritage. It was. Keep talking. Remember it.
I'm not sure which
I lost the
point you meant. Linda, let me ask you: Has your curiosity about your birth family?
Let me just get this out, Xander. I know what it was. It had to do. It had to do with the issue of where you said about if you it goes either way. If you knew your birth people or if you didn't know your birth people. At this point, it doesn't matter to me about even meeting them because, they'd be so freaking old. I mean, it would just be like, oh, my God. It would just be like, who wants them to have a heart attack in front of me or if I have the heart attack, whatever. But right now what it's about for me is that I wasted a life because I was lied to where I could have had a better relationship with the woman who adopted me.
Right.
And that's what makes me so sad because I know
So did you resent her?
I hated her. Because she lied to me. And that's what makes me so sad, because I really could have had a relationship based on truth with her, accepted her the way that she was, knowing that she wasn't my mother, but she was my mother kind of thing, and lived life and had a life. But I kind of got double whammied and screwed 2 times with the mothers because one lied to me and one dumped me, so...
Right.
And the fathers, they just can dance merrily with each other because I don't even think about them. I don't know. I guess, what you were talking about before, a penis in the bathroom, just whatever. Oh.
So has not knowing, I'm going to ask you both a question now. I'm going to ask you, Joey, has knowing where you came from changed who you are at all? And Linda, you can be thinking about this while Joey gives us his answer. Has not knowing where you came from changed who you are? So, Joey, first of all, has knowing where you came from changed who you are at all?
I guess maybe in a way. I guess I've never really thought of it like that, I have to think I'm the same person regardless,
Right.
But I would say no, it hasn't really.
Right. Linda, what about you?
I'd have to say yes. I would have to say, I guess it doesn't, I would have to say yes. I really would, because I would have to say that I wouldn't have chosen food and alcohol to self-destruct. I wouldn't have made mistakes in my life for the people that I chose for the wrong reasons. I wouldn't have hated a person. I wouldn't have hated a person that was kind enough to take me in when no one else did.
Right. So Brody has a question from the chat room. He said he saw a show on that Oprah did about a woman who thought she was adopted, but in reality was actually kidnapped. Is that something you've ever considered? He wants to know.
No, I don't even know what the hell that means. What do you mean, kidnapped by who? What the frick?
I don't know. My mom used to tell me when I was a kid, if I'd been adopted, she would have took me back long before. I don't know. I don't think she meant that in a very nice way, but
Ask Brody, what does he mean by kidnapped? You mean like I don't know.
Like you were maybe kidnapped from your birth parents.
I heard they found Patty Hearst in a boat though in Watertown, Boston the other night, so that's good news, right?
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. Is that a joke or is that serious?
It's a joke.
Right. Okay. I was actually very very interested in that if it was going to be true. But you know me, I would have found Jimmy Hoffa if he'd had a beef sandwich in his pocket. Really, I would. Okay, so what made you start to write about this, Linda? And was it therapeutic for you in any way?
Well, what happened was I started a blog. Well, what happened was I have just had men in my life for most of my. I've had female relationships, emotional relationships with women, where I've fallen in love with my best friend. So then I actually took it a next.
You mean
step
in a
further.
sexual way, or sorry to interrupt you?
No, just an emotional close. Wanted them to be my mommy kind of way, but a grown-up way where you were, best friends and, did all best friend girl things and, just a love, cold. I don't know. It was kind of like I don't know. It was, I'm not sure, but anyway. But it had always been men for sex and women for emotion. And then what happened was I had met somebody through the L word, actually. The L. I know that people are listening to this like I'm, talking to you on the phone, just us. But anyway, what the hell? Anyway, I had met somebody through the L word that I was madly in love with Jennifer Beals, Bet on the L word. And I was just taken with Bet and Tina's relationship, So I thought more about it, and I thought, well, gee, that's really something that I would like to pursue because I had never, gone really down that full Monty, shall we say, walk. So I met somebody anyway, and we took it from there. And to make a long story short, I started a blog called My Fat Life, and it talked about just rants, and craziness, and just everything that was going on from minute to minute to minute. And I had followers, and then I had more followers, and people were asking me to write again and whatever. So I had, about 18,000 people that were following my blog, and then a nice guy that I had met in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where we were living at the time with my friend that I had met and pursued. And I started the blog, and then he said this would make a great book. And then that's how it all began. Right.
So the second part of my question was it therapeutic for you to write about the things you'd experienced?
Yes, definitely, 100%. Right. But it was very sad and very raw and very truthful, and I got a lot of, I lost, any remaining not biological family members, but whatever, they all turned on me basically because they thought that it was raw and my language was disgusting, and I talked about, the mommy that I would love to have held me and touched me and whatnot, and they just all thought that, shut up, basically, shut up.
Right.
Just shut up.
I mean, I honestly think that my writing has been a form of therapy for me because it kind of gets it out, it unravels it for me, and helps me to kind of put it back into a box, but neater, if you know what I mean. Because I find that as an individual, I keep it in, but then when it comes out, the sluice gates open, and usually it's with the wrong person. So if I do it on paper or on the computer, as it were, it kind of it helps my process.
Yeah, 100%, sure. And I mean,
what about you, Joey? What methods have you used to combat the issues that have come out of all this? What do you do for release? And don't say masturbation.
Well, I don't have an answer to that. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, no, I was fortunate, though. My best friend since kindergarten, we're best friends to this day. She was also adopted. So I always had her to relate to and open up to and talk to how I was feeling and everything. So that made things a lot easier. That was my relief for me.
Right. I think it often helps to have someone that is akin to your experience, because you don't feel as isolated or as different. Have you kind of got that kind of person in your life, Linda, someone else who was adopted that you can kind of talk to about these issues? Because like we said earlier, you can't really understand these things fully unless you've walked in that person's shoes,
Yeah. No, I don't really. I can't think offhand that I have known of anybody that. I guess in my travels, I have known people that have been adopted, but it's all been that they were told, and they wouldn't change anything, and everything is perfect, stuff like that. So I knew that they really wouldn't understand where I was coming from. So, but I have friends that I've had throughout my life. I mean, I have my best friend Patsy, who's in my book, and funny stories about the two of us and our, antics and whatnot. And I have, lots of good friends that I've had for, goodness, 45 years, 50 years.
Right. And I think
but
that...
a couple of go-tos,
What? Sorry?
I said you have a couple of go-tos that they don't have to be adopted. They don't have to be anything.
Right.
They just start to...
No, I'm not saying they have to be... They have to be adopted, but I was just wondering if there was someone in your life that was kind of... That was similar to what Joey was suggesting. So tell me about how have your experiences affected your parenting, Linda? Have they made you think they've made you a different parent or a better parent, or because every time I see you on Twitter, or we private tweet, private message or whatever, you've always just come back from taking one of your kids somewhere or doing something with your kids. You seem to be very hands-on.
Yeah. Well, actually, if I were to be truthful, I have a daughter that I love very much, but it seems that our relationship has been strained throughout our lives,
Right.
And then my daughter had a son, and I raised him for 12 years from the day that he was born up until 2 years ago when he decided that he wanted to, give a try with his mom, and he has siblings, my other two grandchildren. So now everything is really good, but it's taken a lot of work, to get to that point with my daughter. And I must say on my daughter's behalf, she is far more forgiving and loving a person than I am, because she's just a really awesome girl, because we've been through a lot together, and we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and I guess I have hurt her, and I think that has to do with the reason why I even began to assume the responsibility of raising another child when I was 45, my grandson, was because I guess of that initial abandonment of me from my mother, that I wanted to make sure he was, okay. My daughter was very, very young, so I know she harbors a lot of resentment toward me about that, and, but my daughter is a very loving, wonderful girl, and...
Absolutely.
But I'm always with the kids and always doing something,
I noticed that, every time we talk, or you always have just done something or are going off to do something with the kids.
Yeah, I'm very hands-on with them. I am. And my grandson, as I said, is a son to me, really, because, I raised him, too. And now that he's back with his mom, and we're all close together in proximity, and that's the only reason why I'm in North Carolina, or I'd be at Rehoboth Beach right now. Is because
I hear that.
This is my own. It's my little blood family, the one that I created. So I can't walk away from them. I feel,
Absolutely. So I want to ask this question of both of you, but I'd like Joey to answer first. How does it make you feel when people attack gay people and gay couples with regards to fostering and adopting?
Personally, it angers me. I mean, you see so many heterosexual couples, they have babies, and they don't take care of them and neglect them. They end up in foster care. And, I believe gay people, there's a lot of them that are full of a lot of love, and they should be given the opportunity to show that to children and raise them as their own.
Right. I agree totally. And I think that quite often this argument about, children need a mom and a dad, I see that, but there are so many children out there that need love. And I think to totally say, no way, no, they shouldn't go to a gay person or a gay couple. They should stay in a foster home where they might be beaten and abused and treated badly is lunacy. Linda, let me come to
Absolutely.
you.
I don't
Amen.
think that sexual. I don't think that your what you do in your bedroom or who you love has anything to do with raising a child. I believe that if you are honest with that child and give them love, then it's wonderful. I mean, I think you have excellent gay parents and you have shitty gay parents. You have excellent, straight and shitty straight.
Absolutely.
Just love the damn kid and tell them the fucking truth. That's my flag.
Absolutely. Don't hold back now, Linda, will you?
Thank you. It's not even. It's really happy hour. I'm holding happy hour back for you.
You're holding what? Happy hour. Pour me a drink. I always have to laugh when people say that this is one thing, and I can't even remember the asshole politician that said it, but he said something about children that are fostered and adopted by gay parents are far more likely to be gay. And that's the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. I'm gay, and I was raised by a heterosexual couple. On all my brothers and sisters, well, my eldest sister is gay, but, it's not turned me straight by being raised by a straight couple. So why would being gay... why would being raised by a gay couple turn you gay? It's just, I hate the kind of hate spreading that comes out of these things. I really do.
I mean, that's like saying run from Protestant people. I was raised by Protestant people. I mean, run from Protestant people then,
Not Protestants. Oh, no.
I mean, people...
Joey was raised by Catholics. Run from the Catholics, Joey.
Oh gosh!
Actually,
let me tell
you, but...
let me tell you something about that Catholic thing, okay, Xander? And it has to do. I'm just sharing a momentary thing. It's just something that popped into my head about the Catholic, the Church, not the religion, not the not the people, not the popes, not the whomever, whatever, all that's going on with that nonsense. When I lived in New York City for many years, there was nothing more that I loved to do than go into the cathedral and just sit in there and feel the presence of spirit. Not one spirit, not the spirit of the person that's going to tell me how I should feel, but there's just something about a Catholic cathedral or the Greek cathedrals, the big cathedrals in Manhattan that are so awesome. There's just so much in those places. That was awesome.
Right. I'm actually just thankful that God is everywhere. I really am, because this week has been a very absolutely. This week has been a very tough weekend for every American with all the things that have been going on, and we're going to get to that later in the show. But I just am so thankful that that God is all around. Just the heroism of the people, the first responders, and I see God in all of their faces. I really do, and it's a very emotional kind of topic too. Let me just remind people of the phone number, because we can still take some more calls. The number is 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. If you have a question for Linda or Joey or myself, as long as it's not math or calculus, we will be fine. Linda, let me ask you, where did the title for your book come from, Paper Womb?
Okay. Paper, okay. Number one, there's no numbers involved here. I don't know why I said that. Paper Moon was, Ryan O'Neal has always been my favorite actor since Peyton Place. He was the most gorgeous from Love Story.
Right.
And, I was a little in love with also Ally McGraw, but we're not going to go there right now. Okay, so he was my favorite actor, and then came along Paper Moon, all right?
Right.
So I was pregnant at the time that Paper Moon came along, and his daughter Tatum O'Neal was in that with him. And I thought, good Lord, if she isn't the funkiest little thing in that movie. Oh, I just sounded like some kind of 100-year-old woman saying that. I sounded like Betty White right there. But anyway, make a very long story short, I love the movie Paper Moon. So that kind of had something to do with a play on words, because then I thought of my mother, my biological mother, and her womb must have been made of like paper that she couldn't find a way to keep me, that I was so disposable.
Right.
So that's where it comes from. You know, like you wrap a fish, you know, like you catch a fish, you wrap it in paper, send it off to the thing, whatever. Like that. Just paper, not a real, you know, no tissues, no bio, anything, just, you know, crappy paper.
So is your book, is it totally autobiographical, or is it kind of like, is it a story? What is it?
It's really taken from the blog, My Fat Life, and it's about, it's different little stories and anecdotes and just whatever I'm thinking. It's very, very, very funny. It is very funny. I mean, it talks about when I lived in New York, growing up in Brooklyn, when I came to North Carolina, the culture shock, and especially from a loudmouth fat girl and from Brooklyn, you know, they don't understand that here, whatever. The food difference here, oh, my God, different, crazy.
I'm sure. Everywhere you go in the USA it's kind of
Jewish
it's kind of
delis, no Jewish people, no Italians, no nothing. Pizza was like sauce on cornbread. I mean, just a nightmare, okay, a nightmare.
Wow.
And then I talk about, you know, when I made a little farm, bought some land and made a farm, and my donkey, Jack, raped me, all kinds of things. It's highly funny, very, very funny.
Wait. Stop. Did you say your donkey, Jack, raped you?
My jackass, yeah. We had a jackass. His name was Jack, and he was in love with me. I swear to God he was in love with me. When I drove my Jeep down to the path getting back into because I built a little log cabin down in there when I moved here, and he would just follow the Jeep. He was like sadly in love with me. I mean, I felt bad for him, but I would take the four-wheeler out and go into a bale of hay, and I would drop the bale of hay in the pasture, and the freaking thing got his arms around my damn shoulders, around my neck, his two front hoofs, like he was ready to play. You know, yeah. So that's in my book. That's a very funny time. And then there was
so tell us when your book is going to be coming out.
My book will be out within, hopefully, the next 3 months. Okay, that's what we're working on now.
Can people pre-order it?
Amazon, but it was supposed to be out back last November or so, but then Sandy came, and Sandy kind of took a
You mean as in the hurricane?
Yes, Hurricane Sandy destroyed the publisher's machinery and home. So there was a setback right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
But people can pre-order it. Go on.
I would like to say something to everybody. My cover of the book.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, I think we lost Linda. Are you there, Linda? Are you still there, Joey?
Yeah, I'm here.
I think I don't know what happened, but I think we lost Linda. Her call was dropped. But let me just ask you before we kind of close this section, Joey. I was just going to ask Linda if she could rewrite her ending any differently, how it would be. Would you? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe this is her back.
Hello.
We
I'm
lost
sorry,
you.
we got this. I know, North Carolina mountains. It's getting windy, so that means everybody has to, head for the low life.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
so I was just saying to Joey about, go on, make your point, and then I'll ask the final question.
Okay, I just wanted to finish what I was saying. What was I saying? That's a bad thing when you can't remember.
I have no idea. You said, I just want to make this one point to everybody.
Yes, the cover of my book. There's a wonderful woman. Her name is Dawn Tebbett. She's an artist, and she's at Madam. Well, you can find it on my Moolips on Twitter, okay? But she did that cover for me, and it's absolutely beautiful, and she's a wonderful artist, and I just wanted to get her name in because we've become really awesome friends, and she's a wonderful, wonderful, talented, awesome woman.
Absolutely. That's the cover that was on the flyer, folks, for the poster, so you can check it out on there, and you can check out the artist on Linda's page.
Right.
Right. My last question really is about, if you could write the ending of all of this, Linda, in any way you pleased, how would that be? And just for Joey, if you could, my question for you is, while Linda is thinking of her answer, if you could rewrite what's gone on already, would you change any of it? Linda, let's go to you first.
Okay. If I could rewrite my ending, well, what I would like for me actually is to find some siblings, find my siblings and get to know them, and just to look into a face and look into the eyes that I know of a person who really probably knows me and would get me and would just be, a part of me, physically, a part of me in that way. And I would like to know my heritage. I would just like to know, am I Irish? Am I, Russian? Am I whatever I am? I would just like to know the line. I know it's pretty impossible
Absolutely.
About my parents at this time, but I would like something to go by so that I could have the chance to look up my history at this point.
Let's just do a very quick appeal then. So if anybody, there might be someone out there, if anyone actually knows anything about Linda's heritage, if anyone knew who her birth parents were or thinks they might be related to Linda.
Goshen, New York. Goshen Hospital,
Goshen,
born
New
May
York.
12th, 1953.
You can contact Linda on Twitter, and her Twitter is @MooLips. That's capital MOOO. That's 3 O's and lips, LIPS.
I'm a happy
Joey,
cow.
Sorry?
I'm the happy cow.
You said it, girlfriend. So Joey, my last question to you: Would you change any of the way this has been for you? Would you have preferred not to know? What would be different in your story?
Honestly, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, obviously, I would have liked for my experience with my birth father and his family to be different. But I'm very fortunate to have met my birth mother, and I still remain close to her and have a good relationship with her. And I'm very fortunate to have been adopted into a family that... I'm sorry, what, Linda?
That's great. I'm happy for you that things are working out that way.
Well, thank you. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I wouldn't change anything. I'm glad things happened the way they did. Other than that,
I mean, you both have you're both adopted. You're both adopted people. You've both had kind of an individual set of experience, but you also kind of have a lot of similarities too. I mean, I think that sometimes they try and paint a picture of adoption as, they try and paint it kind of bad, but I don't think it actually always is. And I think that if there are people out there that are thinking of adopting, then, speak to the local authorities. I'm sure that there are fostering and adoption opportunities for everyone, whoever you are, if you can provide a home to a child. I would encourage you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any final points you'd like to share with us, either Linda or Joey?
I would like to say that I would like to say that over the years, and especially since my mother has died, that I wish every day that things were different, and I just wish every day that things were different and that we had a better relationship, and that I love her and that I appreciate everything that she did do for me. That's it.
Oh, Linda, that's lovely. Joey, any final thoughts? Yes, hello.
Yes, I'm still here, sorry.
What?
Any final thoughts?
Yeah.
If anyone's listening and they're thinking about adoption, I say absolutely go for it. Don't let anything stop you. It's a wonderful thing to do, and I admire anyone that does adopt children and raises them as their own.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, just to let you know, Linda, I'm keeping my eye on Twitter, and your friend, the artist Dawn Tebbett, just said thank you for the lovely things you said about her on the show. So you see, there are several people listening, not just the usual 12. No, I'm joking.
I know.
We usually get between 1,500 and 2,000 listeners per show, which is for me is amazing. Anyone that's interested in tuning in, I'm always glad for that. Go on. Sorry, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I was always so gung-ho, too, also, as I was coming up in my life, 40s and 30s, and that it was so important that the biological mother be the one to raise a child. And one thing I have found out and learned, that it's not about the biological mother. It's about the love that a person has for a child.
Absolutely.
And that I learned.
Would you agree, Joey?
I learned
absolutely agree.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I was just saying I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Right.
But that I learned firsthand through my grandson. That was the lesson that God taught me and that I needed to learn. And I learned it, and I am so grateful for that. And, and things are okay.
One thing I've learned over the past 20 years is that family are not the ones that you're born to. Family are the ones that love and support you regardless of who you are, what you look like, how fat you are, who you sleep with, what you smell like, what you wear. It's the people that love you in spite of who you are. And that to me is what, in my heart, that's what family is. So listen, thank you so much today for joining us, Joey and Linda. We will keep you updated as to when Linda's book is coming out. I'm looking forward to my free copy. But thank you so much for joining us today, Linda Gallagher and Joey Hermes. Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Xander. Bye, Joey. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a nice weekend. I am officially calling it happy hour.
Okay, so let me just see if this is... Hello, is this Will? Hello? Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi, Will. Hi. Yeah,
hey,
it just went dead, but the problem is with Blog Talk is the software is so shit that it just doesn't
Takes a second.
Work very well. So how are you today?
I'm all right. Had a long day. Been driving all day. Just got out of the car, but I'm doing okay. How are you doing? How's the show going?
I'm doing well. It's been a great show. We've been talking about adoption today, and we've touched a couple of times on the what happened last Monday in Boston, right on your doorstep.
Absolutely.
And for anyone that's been living under a rock that doesn't know, obviously last Monday, a couple of explosive devices were placed at the finishing point of the Boston Marathon. Apparently they went off. I don't know if they went off or they were, I don't know exactly what it was, but basically people were injured and killed, and they had a couple of suspects, one of which there was a shootout, and one of them is now in custody. And the level of response from the whole country has been one of shock and one of great support and admiration for the people of Boston and the Boston police. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit about your kind of how you've seen all this, Will.
Oh, man, well, it's weird. My dad is a retired Boston policeman. He was a 30-year veteran, so I've always been around, and cops my whole life, a lot of cops in my family, so it was definitely like, whenever something happens like that, I always have that connection to it. I also kind of had a September 11th connection to it because I was in New York for that. And they had a very similar kind of, there's like a lot of things that paralleled to that, like just like feeling of chaos, feeling of a madman being on the loose, feeling of anything could happen. But also just the just living in Boston. I was on the road this weekend, so I left town on Friday afternoon, and the guy was, on the loose. I'd stayed up all night Thursday night listening to the police scanner and watching TV, texting with friends and stuff, and then I went on stage in New Haven Friday night, and the guy was missing.
Wasn't that a benefit?
Yeah, when I came off stage, they caught him. No, that was Thursday. I did a benefit for the marathon Wednesday. I did another benefit on Thursday, and then Friday I had this show that had already been in the book for a while. Right. But it was great. And then I went on stage, and he was still, they were still looking for him, and I came off stage, and they had caught him. So it was good. It was a good feeling.
So what's the general? Go on.
I was gonna say, now that I'm back in Boston, I mean, it's I'm not even kidding. 2 seconds before I called you, I just drove by the wake of the 29-year-old woman who died. It's right at the end. I'm at my girlfriend's house. I'm at my girlfriend's house right now, and the funeral home is at the end of her street. And right. It's 500 yards away from me right now, and there's already about 1,000 people out there and 1,000 cops. And I drove through Watertown to get here, and it's just, the police presence. There's still 2 huge crime scenes in our city right now, and the police, even though there's a feeling of the bad guy being caught, so much crazy stuff has happened here that no one knows anything. I mean, I think we all feel like anything could happen at any time.
Right. I mean, how do you feel when you see these? How do you feel when you see all these conspiracy theorists and stuff that are saying that this was an inside, just like they did with 9/11? Glenn Beck released a video this week saying that yesterday or something that he had evidence that Barack Obama was behind this. I mean, where do these idiots get off when people have died talking shit like that?
I don't know. There's so many people who capitalize on things like this when they happen, and there's also it's a really fine line, because I want to know so much about these guys, and I want to know. Right. I want all the information. So does everybody. We just crave this information, but at the same time, it's like if there's, and I'm not the first person to say this, if there's some other psycho out there who's thinking about doing something like this, now he knows if he does do it, his face will be on the news. If he kills a few cops, he'll be there'll be a massive manhunt. It's like being a sicko kind of celebrity in a weird way. So I don't like that aspect of it at all. And I think Glenn Beck and guys and a lot of conspiracy theorists do the same thing. But the problem with
don't they?
Yeah, and the problem with conspiracy theories is they need to exist, because sometimes there are conspiracies.
Right.
And,
absolutely.
That's the thing. And I mean, I remember thinking when it first happened, I wonder how this will affect the North Korean situation. You know what I mean? Right. Not thinking that it was planned or anything like that, but I remember thinking I wonder how if this will affect the way they feel about us or something. I just remember thinking that, and then after I had that thought, I was like, oh, now there'll be a million conspiracies because people will link the two things and stuff like that. So I don't like Xander.
I think he will think twice about attacking Boston now. He's not going to do that, is he? Korea is not going to attack Boston. Just like at the level of response that has happened with this, he would think twice now. Before.
Well, it was literally the entire police force, pretty much. I mean, it was bare bones. There was two or three guys who weren't, in every neighborhood who weren't working on that one thing. So it was very it was all man on deck,
Right. Right. It's. I mean, I'm in New York. Boston's just down the road. But it really kind of. You were so right. It was reminiscent. It was very it was kind of a bit like right after 9/11 again. One thing that I've been very pleased about with all of this is that that they stopped this kind of racial thing again. They were saying about people with brown skin and all of this, and after 9/11 there was a real anti-Muslim feeling. And to me, this is the thing: if the people who had perpetrated that bomb in Boston had been, I don't know, let's say for instance Hare Krishnas, would we hate all Hare Krishnas? That I'm not decrying what's happened. Don't misunderstand me. But for me, it's not fair to blame, because these people weren't even dark skinned. These people were European. These people were from Chechnya or somewhere in Europe.
Chechnya,
and basically. I think this is kind of speaks volumes of how far we've come in the last 10 years, because it didn't. I was scared it was going to turn into that kind of, time to hate Muslim people again, but it didn't, and I'm glad. And I also, the other thing that bothered me was all this about, were the terrorists homegrown or were they not? Why does it make a difference? They perpetrated these things wherever they came from. They perpetrated these things. Some people say it's worse if they're kind of like homegrown terrorists, but I still think that it's regardless. We were looking.
I was going to say, that's the situation, though. It's not a American problem. It's like an extremist problem that's everywhere in America and in other countries as well. And even when it comes down to guys like Adam Lanza and school shooters, I mean, they're extremists of it without fellows. They just don't have a group that they can join in their neighborhood, so they do it by themselves. But still, there's obviously a big shift in the country right now where there's shootings in America now on a daily basis, stuff that would have been front page news and stuff that would have been huge news stories is like pushed to the third page now because it's just so regular. And, I don't like a lot of stuff like that's going on, that when something bad happens, like has happened in Boston, people who just have sort of blind patriotism and a hatred for Muslims in other countries, they just use it. They like hop on it.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're like, this is why we need to...
Yeah. This is we need to close the borders and get rid of all the foreigners. But let's face it, I always laugh at this when they say about immigrants and immigration. Let's face it, unless you're a Native American, you're an immigrant. Even if you were born here, we're all from immigrant stock, whoever we are. One thing I saw on Facebook this week that really gave me food for thought was there was a picture of a woman who was quite clearly a Muslim, and she was holding a sign saying something along, and I'm paraphrasing, something along the lines of, she said, most Muslim people view Muslim extremists / terrorists the same way Christians view the Westboro Baptist, or did I get it right? Church. The Westboro Baptist Church, and that really put it in a nutshell for me, because your average Muslim person.
I've heard that with the KKK too. Same metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, your average person wants to go to work, pay the bills, have a drink at the weekend, and whatever else they want to do. And the last thing that enters their head is killing people to prove a point. I mean, I still don't know what this guy's beef was. I don't know what his problem and his issue was.
Oh, no, I know. There's still so much more to come.
The funny thing was the other day, one of my friends, Brody, who's in the chat, he kind of had a bit of a freak out a couple of nights ago because he found this guy. I can't even pronounce the guy's name, but he found his Twitter page. His Twitter page is still up and live. The alleged perpetrator of the bombing, the one that they have in custody, has a Twitter page, and we looked at it, and he found it, and he freaked out a bit, and he called the FBI. I mean, good on him. I'm sure they'd already seen it, but we all need to be vigilant. We all need to point things out, whether it seems like it's silly to you or not. But this guy's Twitter feed was a really odd read. It was clear there was something wasn't right. But even his friends, sorry, go on.
No, I saw that myself. It was a lot of Muslim reading.
Even his friends were saying, "Oh, we don't believe this. This is a setup." I meant the audacity of his father saying, "If my other son is harmed, there will be trouble." I mean, don't say that. Don't say that shit. People have died. People have died at the hands. I know it's yet to be proven, but allegedly at the hands of his kids. Now I know you should love your kids, whatever. But if they do something like this, you can't condone that. You can't wash it over. They're still your kids, but they've done this. They've still done it.
Yeah. I mean, I've always looked at that situation as like, if the person's still alive, you can't you can't totally abandon them because they have no one but you, really. I mean, it would be inhuman to like totally disown your own son, even if he did something like that. But they have to admit to the media. Like I've seen families handle that the right way, actually. Like I think the kid from that shooter from what's it called, the Aurora shooter, his parents handled it the right way. They just stayed pretty much quiet. They released one statement, and all they said in the statement was like, all we're thinking about is how horrible this is and that the victims are suffering, and we're not the people to be focusing on. They are, so yeah.
And that was a dignified response, wasn't it, to the whole situation? I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out.
I'm a comedian. This is the least funny interview I've ever given in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Go on, say
this is the least funny. It's the most boring interview. I mean, not boring, but I mean sad, for sure.
But let me ask you this, Will, because we always talk about this. Now, there are already jokes going around about the Boston bombing. I'm not going to say any because to me it's kind of not acceptable. We always talk about how soon is too soon. Now, when something affects you personally, like this has, if you hear comedians now saying jokes about the Boston bombing, how will that make you feel?
You know, it's weird. I've already heard some, like, it all depends, man. If it's a good joke, it's a good joke. But if it's a bad one, it's a bad one. I mean, I don't think it's I made a joke myself. I said, after they caught the guy, I made a joke that got a lot of internet attention, actually, like 7,000 hits. I said, I'm glad they caught that guy before 420 because I like to smoke weed, and it sucks smoking weed in Boston the past few days. It's no fun being a little paranoid when there actually are 9,000 cops and a crazy man outside.
Wow.
So but that got a lot of love. And then I did one before that when, right after it happened, I said I would never mess with Boston. I once saw an old lady. I once saw a guy get beaten to a pulp just for swearing in front of an old lady. To be fair, she was a really tough old lady. Right?
Yeah, I saw that. I think that
those are in the good spirit
they're
of
mild.
it, and like, yeah, and they're
mild
you don't
compared to some of the things I've heard.
Yeah, and they're not. I'm not taking any shots at the people. I would never ever take a shot at the victim. And also, I raised some money for the One Fund with one of those jokes. So it's not like Plus, you want if you're gonna make a joke about something, you want to. You want the villain to be the butt of the joke, and the heroes to be, the good person in a joke. At least that's the way I look at it. People who are making crappy jokes, just about people being dead and explosions, and they just deserve anything. They deserve whatever bad karma they have coming to them.
Yeah, I kind of, even with like well-known comedians I question. Like after the tsunami, remember we talked about this before when Gilbert Gottfried said, something about, I can't remember what it was. He said a joke about
his
Asian
flight
floating.
had to stop at the Empire State. Oh, that one, yeah. That one.
Yeah.
Tsunami.
Yeah.
But that's sort of his trademark,
It is, but I still, with some things, I gasp sometimes. I'm like, wow,
I do think it's uncouth in a tragedy. I feel like when a celebrity dies, it's okay because they're kind of a public figure, and it's like they're almost like fictional in a way.
Hey, I've got 50 jokes lined up for when Joan Rivers dies. You believe me?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she smells like she's been dead for years anyway. Looks like she would because she seems kind of like that. I always when I do stand up, I always use this joke about Joan Rivers, and I say she's so damn old. Every time she leaves the house, she gets chased by cadaver dogs, and she would probably piss her pants laughing at that. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, what is the point? Look at some of the things I say to you and about you, and tweet to you and about you. It's all a good humor, isn't it?
Of course.
I think you've got to be able to laugh at yourself, unless of course you're Heather McDonald and don't have a very thick skin. I joked with her when she released her book. I said, "You have a fabulous book, Heather. It makes an excellent doorstop." And she was like, "Why so mean?" I'm like, "You're a comedian, for God's sake. Come back with a witty retort. Don't whine at me."
She seems sensitive to me.
Because I would have said, if someone had said, "Oh, I had a book out," and they said, "Oh, it makes a great doorstop," I would have said, "It's great for putting under the sofa too if it's uneven."
Sometimes when people say mean stuff about me.
Yeah.
When people say mean, I
you're
can get thin-skinned sometimes.
Hell, I always refer to it having done a porno film with you, and I've had gay sex with you, and you're obviously not gay, but we laugh about it. If your girlfriend's listening, he is gay, really. Don't have sex with him anymore.
Sometimes when she's in the next room impatiently waiting for me to finish.
She's always impatiently waiting for you to finish, though, apparently.
Oh, zingo.
See, you walked right into that one, Will.
That was a good one, though. That was really good. I can't even remember what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, my fault.
I was gonna say. I do get a little sensitive sometimes when the people on the internet just anonymously shit on me. It does hurt your feelings sometimes. Just saying.
But for me, it's kind of worse when you say, like one guy today was giving me grief about something. I said, "I'm busy. I'm preparing to go on and do my show, and I was getting ready for that." And he said, "So instead of getting angry with me, why don't you talk to me when you're less busy?" I was just like, "Do you know what? I'm going to block you because you just can't take no for an answer, I mean, sometimes I'm happy to have that back and forth, but other times when I say I don't want it, if I don't want it, then,
No, I blocked the guy today.
Yeah.
I blocked the guy today
You're radical.
He kept just saying, he kept saying I'm not funny and I should be more like Jimmy Carr. Hold on one second. Hey, I gotta go.
No problem. Listen, Will, thanks so much for calling in and telling us. I know your girlfriend is desperately waiting in the next room for you to boss her. And good luck with that. We'll be cheering for you as you enter the... Anyway, never mind. Thank you,
very much
so much for calling,
and
look forward to you coming back on again very soon.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, man.
Will.
Thanks a lot.
You too. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that was Boston comedian Will Noonan, and we were talking about the bombing of the Boston Marathon, and how people had responded to that. So we're going to get to the final section of the show now. It's called What's Your Beef? We said last week we would allow a bit of time at the end of the show for people to call in and tell us what their beef was, what had pissed them off, what was bothering them. Call us now on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. We're waiting for your call. So it's been a great show today. It was interesting to talk about adoption and to tie that up with the fact that Linda was releasing a book. Oh, we have a caller. Let's see who this is. Hello, you're live on Xandermonium. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Xander, it's Brody.
Hey, Brody, how are you?
Can you just hold just for 1 second?
I can. Is this while you put your clothes back on or something?
Okay, I'm back.
Hi. I was just saying, were you putting your clothes back on or something, or were you putting out a cigarette?
No, I couldn't hear because the washing machine's on, so I had to close one of the doors.
Ah, right. But you're not supposed to sit on top of the washing machine while it's on. You knew that, didn't you? So what's your beef, Brody? Who pissed you off this week? I hope it wasn't me this week, because I think we've had quite a good week this week on Twitter, you and I.
You know who it was. It was today on Twitter, the two bitches that were pissing us both off.
Yeah, I kind of, I tweeted something funny to one of them, and one of them I can't think what her name is, but she says she's a TV celebrity for the Discovery Channel, which to me is a contradiction in terms, but you know.
Yeah.
Do you know the names? Because I can't.
Okay, one of them. Okay, this is how it all started. Have you ever had somebody on Twitter unfollow you, and then it's kind of like somebody that you've sort of had like a friendship with unfollows you, then you kind of get pissed off about it?
Right. Yeah, I have.
Well, I was sort of like, I was respectful about it, and I'm just like, okay, we'll see you later, and I unfollowed her too. And then another girl got involved, and then the two people, the one that unfollowed me just started getting hateful, so then I'm like, Xander, come help me attack these two skanks. So you did, and then it started a massive Twitter war with somebody who claims to be a model and a Discovery Channel TV host.
Wait, she said she was a model? I didn't see that, because if she's a model, then shit, so am I. I mean, really. It was like the after pictures from plastic surgery. I mean, she certainly wasn't that attractive at all, really. But
no, if you go on the website,
I don't understand some people on Twitter. I'm always happy to have a bit of bitch back and forth. You know, we bitch all the time, but it's all good fun. But some people can't do it without getting too nasty and too personal. And right away, these two bitches got their, they got their they got their claws out to us. And I just think, what's your problem? What have you got to hide? I mean, maybe with a touchy subject, plastic surgery. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I seen. But when I clicked on her website, it says she's and I think the exact quote was an international renowned supermodel.
International? Oh, well, I guess because I do a lot of work in the UK too, that makes me international too. Then the only international work she's had done is a facelift in Zurich, probably. But you know what these people are like. You see, I think it's very important to big yourself up. However, just remember that nowadays there are things like Twitter and Google and IMDb. And when people say to me, "You're not an actor, you've never been anything," I go to IMDb, check it out. They clarify, they check everything out that you put on there, so it's not things that are kind of made up. But yeah. I don't know, Twitter kind of turns itself on its head every day, I think. And, especially with certain individuals that we know who are just a bit like psychotic, shall we say?
Are we speaking of retardly?
We are indeed. That was quite a funny episode last night with her, but actually this time it was you and I to blame. And I thought, what the hell did we do? Did we transmit psychic messages to get you to tweet all the BS that you were tweeting? I mean...
Exactly.
It's
and what
funny.
I have a problem with too is that when as soon as it all happened, she messaged me on Facebook and was like, "Fuck you," and sent me like a huge paragraph of her complaining. But and she said that she was getting notifications of mine and your tweets. But if she has us blocked, she shouldn't even be able to see what we're saying. So she's like constantly spying on us.
Yeah. Yeah, I have her blocked now as well, because I think that just for me, I don't need the extra BS.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't. It's probably better to do that.
With other people, their bullshit is actually coherent, but she can't even explain her opinions without sounding retarded.
Yeah, because you have to read the tweet 3 times to understand exactly what she's trying to get to. And even after that, you still don't know. I mean, ASL maybe.
Yeah.
No, maybe that would work. I wonder if you could tweet in ASL. That would be funny. Just tweet with the pictures. Like this picture means this and this picture means that. And I don't know. It's just a thought. But I am totally done. I want to rid my world of Twidiots. And whilst I'm quite happy to have discourse with people who can talk to you and actually have a regular back and forth without being personal or not pushing their own agenda too much, as if to say that theirs is the only thing that's right. Because we're all fallible. We're all human. But who says your opinion is more valuable than mine? It's not. It's just as valuable.
And you know what?
You're going to quote me on that now, aren't you?
This is a little bit off topic.
Sure.
Do you know what kind of people on Twitter? Do you know what kind of people on Twitter piss me off? Are the ones that claim to be comedians and delete all of their @replies at people.
Yeah.
And I think
what
Lauren...
is all about? I mean,
it's because
I delete some things because if I have a rant with someone, I'll delete it after. Not because I'm ashamed of what I've said, but I keep all the funny stuff. I really do, because I think, you really, it's really important to do so, because it's, it gives it good, solid...
experience, what I find is that a lot of them that delete their @replies are there because they want to be, famous comedic writers, and they think that's their resume, so to speak, so they need to keep all the funny things they post on there. And it just pisses me off because they'll insult you, but then not even 10 seconds after they do it, they delete it.
Right, because that's what that girl did today. She sent me a thing saying that she said I'd bought Twitter followers, and I've never bought Twitter followers. I'm Jewish. I don't pay for anything that I don't have to pay for. Unlike her father, who's obviously paid for her boobs and her collagen. Allegedly, exactly. I have to say. We didn't mention any names, so that's kind of not.
We should give her Twitter handle out so everyone can go express their opinions.
No. Well, you can if you want to. The opinions of anyone that calls in, I can't tell you what you can and can't say, and it's not necessarily my opinion. But if you want to do that, you can do that. Yeah, I don't either, really. But there you go.
What was that noise?
That was just the sound effect that I pressed, and it didn't really work very well. Well, listen, Brody, thanks so much for calling in. Is that the end of your beef? Is there anybody else you'd like to talk BS about? I know you said today was Hate Jake Pentland Day, but I think you said that tongue-in-cheek, didn't you?
Well, yeah, hasn't been on Twitter much today, so I'll have to save my hatred for him for tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, he's currently fingering his sister's goats somewhere. Do you know this person that's got this thing where they say the person below blah blah blah?
Oh yes,
you know what I'm talking about?
I retweet them all the time.
Yeah, well, I don't just retweet them. I always copy them. Like the other day, it said the person below is not fat; they're just pregnant, and it was me. But today it said the person below was fingered a goat, and the person below was Jake Pentland, and it said, I'm not into it for the effectiveness, but I just thought it was hilarious, so I copied it and screen capped it and shared it. But,
did you post
I think... Yeah, I did. I did. I thought it was really funny. Well, listen, Brody, thanks so much for calling in. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will no doubt catch you next week with Beef of the Week. Let's hope tonight is retardedly free, and I look forward to chatting to you again very soon.
Okay, talk to you soon, Xander. Peace out.
Oh, tell them where I can find you before you go. Where can they find you on Twitter?
At that Brody and at BrodyStewart.com, which will be up live sometime this week.
Brilliant. Go check him out on Twitter, follow him on Twitter, and check out his website and his really funny videos. Thanks a lot for joining us, Brody, and I will speak to you very soon.
Okay, see you, Xander.
Bye. That was the amazingly funny evil genius, a.k.a. Brody Stewart. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us today with our show about adoption. Thank you to Linda Gallagher. Don't forget to check out her book, which is coming out soon, called The Paper Womb. You can find her on Twitter and Facebook. Check her out, Linda Gallagher. Thank you to Joey Hermes for joining us today and talking about his experiences of adoption. Thank you so much to my Boston correspondent, Will Noonan, for calling in today to talk to us a little bit about the Boston bombing. As an end note, I'd really like to send my love and positive thoughts to those that were affected by the Boston bombing, and I pray that you will all, in time, heal and be okay. Thank you for listening. I'm very grateful to you all, and I will see you all at the same time next week, 2 p.m. PST, 5 p.m. EST, for the one, the only Xandermonium. I love you all. Goodbye.
Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were bound to change when it was